Hi guys, it's Kelly and I am back again with another video. This video is actually part of a blog hop for Suzy's Paintables for Simon Says Stamp. These are the new paintables that are out. They're all holiday themed. They're all totally beautiful. I actually chose to work with the floral one. I'm sure you're shocked. And I made a copy of it. So this is just regular copy paper. The reason I made a copy of it is because how am I going to make a one layer card if I don't have a mask, right? So I cut out the actual flowers, and then in order to turn it into a mask, I am using Tombow multi-glue. So I am putting it down and then I'm smearing it out to the edges with my finger. This actually does not take very long. I used to make all of my masks this way before I found Eclipse masking paper and what's the other one? 3M 2-inch post-it note. But the one that was kind of like a little bit of a pain is all of these little berries. I did cut them all out. I did put glue on every single one of them because Tombow multi-glue dries repositionable. That's why you can use it to make masks. It was, like I said, a little bit of a pain, but well worth it in the end because I like the way the card came out, and I'm only ever going to do it once. I only have one paintable of this picture, so I felt like it was all right. So I'm going to put those masks on. Before I put them on, usually I like tap them with my fingers or on the palm of my hand just to make sure they aren't too sticky. I don't want them ripping my paper, and I want to make sure everything's dry. So once I have it down, I'm just going to kind of like burnish it with my finger to make sure all of the edges are stuck down because I'm going to be doing some distress inking. I'm sure you are just so surprised by this news. I can't even believe that I'm about to do distress ink background like I do on every other card that you have ever seen on this channel, right? Right. So because the sentiment, the Warm Wishes sentiment is kind of very delicate. It's a script font. I wanted to make sure that I was still going to be able to read it. So I am leaving that area lighter. I'm leaving that area just as a salty ocean. And so I guess the way I'm doing my shading is almost like a C shape around that sentiment. So salty ocean, blueprint sketch, chip sapphire. Again, you've seen this show before. You've also seen this. I feel like, so I posted a picture of the card that I posted yesterday on Instagram, and I realized that it looked almost identical to the card that I posted before that. And then, you know, it's going to look almost identical to this one. I really got to get off this blue background kick that I'm on because all of my cards are looking exactly the same. I got to break it up. So the Perfect Pearls, again. So I will tell you that I did this, without remembering that I wanted to use a stamp in the background. So I did it, and then I'm still going to use the stamp because I thought the stamp was really pretty. This is, what is this? Sweater background? Something like that. It's linked below if you're watching on YouTube or on my blog. And I'm going to stamp this in Salty Ocean Distress ink. The way that this works best is to ink up your stamp and then flip your cardstock on top of the stamp and then kind of cover it with just like a scrap piece of paper and hold one hand steady, rub the other hand around and give good pressure. We're old school stamping here, people. There's no MISTI involved. This is one shot, one deal. Because maybe you don't own a MISTI. I own two. Because I do so many one layer cards and I ruined so many with just not right sentiments that was well worth the investment for me. But anyway, so the background's done. Gonna go ahead and remove the masks, and then we're going to jump into the Copic coloring. When I was picking my colors, I really wanted to do, first of all, I Googled poinsettias to see what color combinations they came in. Second of all, I found like a cream colored one. It was almost like kind of peachy, and I thought that would be really kind of pretty. And so I went a Googling to find a cream colored Copic combination that I liked. And I could not find one. But what I did find was a lot of skin color combinations for the quote unquote cream color. And I was like, well, I've never actually colored like I have a go-to skin color combination and I've never actually used it to color anything but skin tones. So maybe that'll be pretty. So here we are. This is what we're doing. I am adding shading from that center line out. I'm not adding a ton of shading right now. I'm just adding very little bit just around that line. I'm using the tip of the marker and kind of flicking to the outside using very light pressure. There's a bunch of different ways that you could color this flower. This is just the way that I chose to do it because poinsettia is one of the ways that when you look at a poinsettia, it has a very distinct lines in the petals. And I wanted to kind of mimic those. And the way that I would typically color it is like darker at the base and then a little bit darker at the tip of the petal so that it kind of looks like it's rolling out or blooming outwards. But that was not going to work for this because the lines in the poinsettia are from left to right. They're not up and down. So they would have been contradictory to each other and it would not have looked nice. So sometimes you got to switch it up. You got to be adaptable, people. Be adaptable. So I am working from my lightest color all the way out to my darkest color. And the darkest color is going to look pretty dark. And this is also how it looks on skin tones. It does look really dark. But you'll see as we start to layer the colors over one another how much it lightens up. That's one of the wonderful things about Copic markers is if you put a lighter color over a darker color, it is going to pick up some of the color and create almost like a third shade, which I really love, especially for coloring florals, because it just creates multiple tones that look really natural. So now that I have all of that shading down and this flower basically looks hideous, I am going to add in the lines, and they are perfectly symmetrical on a poinsettia. They match up. So I'm trying to do that while still trying to make it look natural and not really manufactured. And I'm doing this with the darkest color. Once all those lines are down, I'm going to start working my way back toward the lightest color. I did extend those lines that I drew with this E11. I extended it out into the petal where it will be lighter, just to have a continuation of that line. But you can see already, even with just the E11, how much that E04 is really blending out. I really liked the way that this color combination looked when it was all said and done. However, I did not like it at all with the background I had already created. That's how the cookie crumbled this time. I thought it was really pretty and kind of soft, but it had this bold blue background with kind of like a graphic stamp in the back, and I just didn't feel like they matched very well. So don't get too attached to this color combination, folks, because we're not keeping it. I wanted to show you anyway because I'm a big proponent of transparency. I want you to see that I make mistakes just like you make mistakes, and there's a way to fix them. But also, in case you wanted to try this color combination, like maybe you have a different card with a different background, or maybe you liked it with the blue background, which is totally fine. I just did not. So now that it's all done, I'm not giving up on it just yet. I'm going to keep trying to keep this color combination. So I picked some Ys and YRs in more gold tones to color in the center. I'm going to color in the whole thing with my Y21 and then add in some shading with the YR21 and the YR24. Because this flower is so light at this point in the card making process, I didn't really feel like I needed to go darker. Once we take the flower darker, we'll be taking the center darker as well. So these little berries, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to color the poinsettia a different color than red, is because I wanted to color the berries red. Now my camera pulled a weird little thing. My apologies. So you didn't get to see me color the berries. Basically, I just added darker shading to one side. For me, it was the left side or the underneath. And then I moved on to the leaves. For the leaves, I'm doing the same thing that I did with the petals. I'm starting with the lightest color out to the darkest, from the darkest back into the lightest. And I'm using those soft flicking motions. I am using Y95, 97, and 99. I do not know where the camera gremlins took my footage to, but I do not believe they have any intention of returning it. So here we are. For the little pine needles, which you almost cannot even see since the background is a little bit darker, I wanted to use some more blue based greens, and I showed you a BG49 and a BG09. I didn't use the 09. After I used it for this one, I realized it was completely pointless. I did not need 4 colors. They looked like the same exact color on this blue background. And so for all of the rest of them, the little pine sprigs, I used BG49, BG78, and G28. So now here's where I've decided I am not committed to this color of this flower. I am changing it. However, I didn't want that to just be a completely red card. I wanted there to be some difference. So I picked some reds that I've actually never used before. I know we're branching out. It's getting crazy. Turn on the disco ball, grab the glow sticks. It's getting wild in here. So basically what I did was I picked some R's that were what they call more orange based or more tomato based. If you ever heard somebody talk about the colors this way, where you have a blue-based red or an orange-based red, here you can see them side by side. The berries are a blue-based red. You can see they are much darker. They're much on the cooler side. This red combination is much warmer, and on the oranger side, it just is. But it's a nice way to just get a different look, dependent upon the colors that you're using. I'm not even going to explain this again because you watched me color it the first time. The only thing I will say is that I originally picked a YR09 and it just blended right in. So I had to pick a darker color, and oranges. That's the weirdest way to say orange ever. Oh my Lord. Oranges are very difficult to shade because they are so bright. Same thing with yellows. So I ended up using the same, this is an R29, which is a mid-tone in the berries. I ended up using this as my darkest color and just hoping that the orange hue from the rest of the markers was going to help me out. And it actually worked out really, really well. But I did the same thing. I was much faster about it this time because I had already colored it once. And maybe I feel like it's a little bit more organic this time with the way that the lines look. And so that made me happy. But that just goes to show you that you should practice coloring things a couple of different times, if you're uncomfortable with it, because you will get more comfortable as time goes on. With that said, I am a total hypocrite because I don't do that. I don't color. I like some people who shoot videos or post videos on YouTube, make the card one time and then they make it again on camera. I don't, there's nothing wrong with that, but I don't, because I just don't have that kind of time. I'm lucky I get one video up here, people. Come on. So you get to see it. This is just, me working through the process as if I was, just nobody was going to see it. And then I just, upload it to YouTube and share it with you. And, so I was really happy with the way that it turned out, but it did make the center very flat. So I'm going to go in and add more of that YR24, and then I'm also going to bring in an E99. This is because that YR24 was just not dark enough, not comparative to the red that I already had going on there. So once that was done, I wanted to, excuse me, I wanted to I just wanted it to have a little bit more depth off the background. So I'm adding in a drop shadow with a C5. I tend to add my shadows if my light source is in the top right hand corner, so that my shadows would be down and to the left. But you can add them wherever you're comfortable with. This is just my carryover from like my one high school art class. I also added some white highlights to the berries with my white gel pen. And then I thought it would be kind of fun to add just like some speckled dots on the poinsettia petals, just for a little bit of interest. So I did that as well. I added highlights to the center of the poinsettia, but by the end of it, you're not even going to be able to see them. So really not even worth mentioning. I outline all of my images because I love a bold black outline, specifically with Suzy's Paintables, which I totally love. And you'll notice that this is a watercolor blog hop, and I didn't watercolor anything because you don't have to, because you can color them with any medium you want and it's going to be beautiful. But anyway, I did the bold black outline, but really I did it, even if I wouldn't have outlined everything, I would have still done the sentiment, because I covered it up so much with the Distress ink. I accented the sentiment with some white Nuvo drops. You saw me using the clear droplets from Pretty Pink Patch as a placeholder. I kind of wish I would have kept those or used Morning Dew Nuvo drops, but I didn't. I used the white. It is what it is. I added some glossy accents to the center and to the berries, and then I called it done. So there's a lot of wonderful colorists on this blog hop. If you're watching on YouTube, I encourage you to click the link below to head over to the blog. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.